Good morning, folks. We're back out at Dad's shop today. So this is going to be part 2 of the 275 kerosene 200A conversion lantern.
475.
So we took a 275, painted the fount green, used a green top off of a 5101 propane lantern and a 200A frame. But I had to come up with some funky spacers to come in there, and I don't like that much space in there. So I bought a pipe thread die set off of Amazon, and I am going to drill out the threads going into the fount from the weird threads that they are and retap them with pipe threads. It'll just take me a minute here to pop this apart, and you'll see the adapters I have in there and see exactly what I'm trying to accomplish and why. This is just a 200A frame, so it comes apart easy. We'll just go ahead and pop that generator off too. It's easy to get it off there and then it's out of the way. My plan is to keep this video short enough to be a Tuesday short video the week after the main video comes out. We'll throw that somewhere and save it. We might reuse it for something some point in the future. But what I had to do to make this work, the threads in the top here are very fine pitched, weird threads. I found something that would thread in there, but then it came up to here, then I had to use another spacer. So we got 1.25 inches or so of spacers there. If I drill this out and rethread it for pipe threads, I should be able to thread this down to where it's almost flush with the top of the fount, and then this will thread right in there and we'll eliminate at least 1 inch of spacer there. So that's what we're going to try to do. Still got pressure in it from the last time I burned it. I'm going to have to find a can to dump the kerosene that's in there into. It's clean enough. It's clean enough, but is it big enough? Nope, it is not.
That's a pretty big fount though.
There we go. Now when we do this, we may have to do what I initially was going to do and shorten up my pickup tube, because I'm guessing that once we do that, this pickup tube is going to hit the bottom of the fount now.
That's pretty squatty, the tank is.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to pause the camera and get this back out of there, because I JB welded that in because the threads are really short, really fine pitched threads, but I think I can still just put it in the vise, give the fount a turn, and probably break it right loose.
Give some heat.
Okay, that popped right out of there. The thing that's going to be my concern, we have to tap this with a 1/2 inch pipe thread tap so that we can put this adapter in there, and that's going to leave the walls of this awfully thin, but I think it will be okay. So I need to Google what size hole we need to drill this out to for 1/2 inch pipe thread tap.
And hopefully you got a drill bit that size.
All right, we found a Christmas tree drill bit that's going to work to give us the right size hole to thread our pipe thread into.
The kind of right size.
We're going to put a Amish fuel cap on here, and while I'm drilling the hole, we've got our pressure regulator, so we got 20 psi of air, and I'm going to have Dad blowing some air in here so there's air coming up out of the fount so that our shavings and stuff hopefully come back out of the fount instead of dropping down in there. I'll still give it a quick rinse when we're done, but hopefully that'll keep 99% of the metal shavings out of the fount instead of in the fount. Well, there we go. Hopefully that kept most all of the shavings out of there. Now we're going to do the same thing when I run the pipe thread tap down through there too. But that ought to get it close to accepting that once we run this pipe thread tap down through here. A little bit of oil here to keep some oil on the threads. All right, let's see what we can do here. Let's turn that up. We got a little more air blowing out of there.
Keeps up the sweating too that way.
Just a matter of time before the compressor kicks on too. Yeah, I need to go farther than that, that's for sure. Alright, it wasn't real pretty, but we did get the pipe thread tapped all the way down in there. I ended up having to put the pipe thread tap in the vise and then flip my fount upside down and thread it down onto the pipe thread tap. I can hear some shavings in there, so I'm going to have to get some denatured alcohol in here and swish it around and dump it out to make sure that there's no shavings left in here. But we got that adapter threaded in there good and tight. That's brass going into steel, so we shouldn't have any issues with it leaking. And it's going to be about that much shorter, so it's not going to make that original collar come all the way down, but the little bit of gap that's around the bottom I'm just going to leave now. I'm not going to screw with having another collar, and it will actually, I think that little bit of difference I think is going to make a difference in how the lantern looks. It just looked too tall and skinny on top of that fount. Okay, I believe we can start to put this back together. Let's see here now if we're going to be able to thread this in there, or if I have to cut off my pickup tube. I guess the easiest way to do this would be to just measure how far it is to the bottom with a piece of wire or something and compare it to this. Then I know whether or not I'm smashing this right against the bottom of the tank, because if I do, then I'm going to have to modify my pickup tube. I moved a piece of like heavier wire. Yeah, that'll work. So we got that much length. That much length gets me all the way past the top of those threads. So we're good. We're not going to bottom out. and it's going to get real close to the bottom of the tank, so we'll be able to suck that tank almost empty. That's a good deal. That's just about as much as you could ask for. Okay, this is brass going into brass, so this doesn't have to be uber tight to get it to seal.
Just get her clocked the way you want it.
So I think I'm going to get back to the knob right above the sticker there now, and I'm going to quit right there. I usually like to go a little bit more than what I can go just by hand, but being brass in brass, I'm not worrying about that leaking. Now let's pop this on there and see. There's still going to be a space in between there, but I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm not going to bother with trying to have
Looks better than the other.
Another spacer in there. That's for sure. But we definitely got at least a 1/2 inch of length off of that.
That looks a lot better than it did with the other thing in there.
Yeah, I think that that'll pull down tight, and that will, I don't know, I'm going to try that with the spacers in there, I guess. Let's look and see what difference it makes. Because
they're pretty thin. It ain't gonna make much difference.
well, and I think that after I got thinking about it, I think if I leave that spacer out, when I try to tighten that jam nut down, it's going to be bending the bottom of that down.
Yeah, it might be.
Let's try it with it in there and see what it looks like. You know what I was going to bring out with me today? My little primer jug for filling up the...
Yeah.
Didn't bring that. Makes it way easier for filling up the preheat cup. Okay, we landed on having the washers in there, not snug down. My collar doesn't rattle around. You got about a 1/4 inch space between the collar and the fount, but it looks better just having that space there. You really can't see in there and see any of the valve mechanism or anything, and it looks better to me just having that space there than it did having a second collar tried to fit in there and everything. And we've definitely shortened it up by between 1/2 and 3/4 of an inch on the overall height of the lantern, which I think is going to make the lantern look a little bit better.
Should fill your preheat cup first.
Yeah, I can do that. I was gonna... Yeah, I'll do that before I put everything back on there. I did not bring out my little thing that's made for filling that preheat cup. Yeah, I'll get one more. Oh, there's the air compressor kicking on now. We're not using air.
We're done with it now.
I'll get one more little capful there. This thing's going to be completely cold now, so we'll give it plenty of alcohol for the preheat. Plus, some of this alcohol is going to evaporate while we're getting it.
It's full of oil by a bit anyway, but
Some of this alcohol will evaporate while we're getting it put back together and getting the kerosene dumped back in it. Yeah, already I like the look of that a little bit better. It's amazing what a difference just a little bit of height like that will make to the way something looks. It made it look disproportionate. Like the base was too squatty and then the top part was too tall and skinny on it before. Which is kind of what I was going for, but it just wasn't exactly the way I wanted it.
That looks nice.
Now, let's get the handle back in here. Oh yeah, it definitely has, the handle before barely touched the side, like it was clear up here. Now it's down over the side of the lantern a little bit. Let's get this over here at the edge of the table and try pouring my kerosene back in there without making a huge mess. Whoop. Kerosene is practically moisturizing lotion, so.
My hands are dry.
I saw a video that was talking about Henry Ford being possibly the world's first billionaire, but he was frugal and he would wash his hair with kerosene, they said. Why in the hell would you wash your hair with kerosene?
Must have been cheaper than water.
There we go. That's the same amount of fuel that was already in it, so. Minus.
A dribble.
Yeah, minus a dribble here and there. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna put the cap on, but before I even start pumping it, I'm gonna light that preheat because...
No, you're gonna light that.
No, I don't know if I tightened up the generator. I don't think I tightened up the jam nut on the bottom of the generator.
Oh.
So thank God we already put the alcohol in here, and I'm just slopping alcohol all over everything while I'm doing this.
That won't hurt you.
Nope, it is not tight. It was finger tight. Boy, I'm dumping the alcohol everywhere now.
That'd make it flare up better. Not really, it'll probably evaporate before you light it.
There we go. There, now I'll put this back together again. I like to do everything 3 or 4 times so that you really know you've done it by the time you're done. It's the way I live my life.
Yep. I don't think enough fire in there to light it.
Well, there's a whole bunch of denatured alcohol just pooled in the bottom, so that's going to flash and then that'll...
It should light everything.
Yep, it did. It went right up the primer cup, up the side of that, so that should have lit the alcohol in the primer cup.
I can hear it burning. I can see it burning on the mantle.
Make sure there's no denatured alcohol dripped on here because apparently this paint is not impervious to denatured alcohol. But it does fine with kerosene, so that's all that matters.
That does look a whole lot better. That looks so homemade.
Well, the cap's only finger tight.
Okay. Now you can
That's
pump it up.
alcohol dripped right there, but I'll wipe it off just in case so I don't screw up the paint. I was pumping and I could hear something wheezing. Well, yeah. Either the valve's open or the cap's not tight. This is good quality entertainment here, folks.
Edit.
All right, I'll pause the camera for a minute. I'll let that cup, actually you can see from here right now the alcohol boiling in there. I'll pause the camera, and when that's down to where that cup's almost empty, we'll turn the camera back on and light this thing up. Alright, that prime cup's just about empty. Let's open the valve. Since this is kerosene now, go wide open with the valve. You just crank it open. Don't go a quarter turn and stop and wait. I have noticed this surges a little bit. It's not bad, but it's got a bit of a pulse to it, that's for sure. Nice and bright.
Yes, sir.
And looks a lot better than it did before.
It's a very nice looking lantern.
Well, I will get a little shot of this at home tonight to wrap this up. Okay. Here's the old kerosene, what we're calling the 475 lantern, sitting out here burning nice. It surges just the tiniest little bit. I don't even know if the camera will even pick it up very well, but it burns good. You can kind of hear it surging even more than you can see it. So I just used it for some light. I had to air up the tires on my wife's vehicle, so I just aired up the tires on all of our vehicles, pulled them all around by the garage and aired everything up, because we're supposed to be getting snow tonight and all day tomorrow. They're saying like 8 inches of snow. I don't know if I believe that or not, but we'll see. Anyhow, thanks for watching, folks. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share the video if there's anybody you know you think might like this video. Look us up on Facebook at Cutler's Antiques, and come on back next week. We'll have a video or something here for you to watch.